Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome all to Dominant Mets Nation. Right now, at the time of recording, it is 1:18. We are recording after a loss. The New York Mets lost tonight to the Philadelphia Phillies 12-2. Wasn't a good game. Obviously, wasn't a good game. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Phillies. They made the playoffs. Whoop-de-doo for them. Whoop-de-doo for them. Okay, so today's show, we have a couple very important issues to address. A couple important issues. We're going to go over some highlights in the game. This game was a bit odd. It was a bit odd, but if you think about it, there were decisions that were questionable, but if you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, it does make sense. But, at the end of the day, the Braves lost. The Braves lost. I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, damn, the Mets are doing bad. The Mets are doing bad. The Mets lose. Then I flip to the Braves. The Braves lose. So, you know what? All in all, we lose no ground. We lose no ground. David Stearns, he came on before the game. He made some interesting remarks, to say the least. So we're going to go over that. Senga's got a very important start tonight in AAA. That is going to determine if we're going to get him back. So that's very important. And then obviously we have the Lindor dilemma. And that honestly is very, very questionable because there's actually a lot with that. There's a lot with that. So we're going to get into that as well. But you know what? Here's the deal. When you are a New York Mets team, and in the last 20 games, we were 16-4. In fact, in the last month, we have been playing at such a damn high level. Such a high level, right? Every game is a game 7. Today, we were going up against Christopher Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez, for all of you who are in the live stream in the last couple of days, Christopher Sanchez is a guy that I respect, is a guy that I always believe was a good pitcher. He has been developed greatly in the last year. Last week, he dominated against us, and he had a very nice game tonight, a very nice game. It just really is what it is. We weren't going to win every game. As much as we wanted to win every game from here to the end of the season, it was not going to happen. So we had 8 games left. We have a 2-game lead on the Atlanta Braves. We still have that very important 3-game series left with them. So we have a lot of things still going right. I'm not bothered at all with this 12-2 loss. I'm really not, because there were a couple easy decisions in this game that led to this game being a blowout. So, and if the circumstances were completely different, I believe just different decisions would have been made. So it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Robbie, how's it going? Peterson just didn't have it. Maybe so. I mean, in his last 2 out of 3 starts, he's had some issues, but, hopefully he's right in the next couple of days. Daniel, how's it going tonight? Explosive. What's up, my guy? Great to see me after a loss. Yeah, I'm only here because of you, because you said I never come on after a loss. To be fair, we haven't been losing a lot. So, let's do this. Let's do this. All right, so let's get into this game. And, I got a couple of interesting, kind of remarks, and it's going to be funny. It's going to be funny. All right, so we started off the game phenomenally. We started off the game right off the bat. Iglesias homers and gets the Citi Field crowd going. And you know what? I'm like, okay, today's going to be a decent day. We started off actually to a 2-0 lead. Nimmo would have an RBI ground out in the bottom of the first inning. So against Christopher Sanchez, I'm like, this is exactly what we need. We need to be aggressive, get on the board first, and set the tone. And this is what we've been doing in the last couple of weeks. Set the tone in the in the top half of the first inning. Peterson did look decent. He had 2 strikeouts. He struck out Harper. So all in all, the first inning, we won. We looked good. But then as the game progressed, things would happen. Things would happen. I mean, I would say that the top of the second inning was really indicative for how the game would go. And, for all of you who really caught this game, it was first and second, and Rio Mutu hits a pop fly, and Pete Alonso is chasing the ball. He's backpedaling. He's chasing the ball into right field. He's kind of near the foul line, and he turns around and misses the ball. He turns around, misses the ball, bases loaded, no outs. And honestly, that play should have been made by Starling Marte. If you look at it, it was a ball with a lot of hang time. Pete Alonso should have caught the ball. No doubt he should have caught the ball, but it's a very hard play for a first baseman, especially a lumbering guy like Pete, to make that play. You put all your momentum going back, and then you get kind of lost, spinned around, and he was trying to find the ball, and it was just too late. He tried stabbing at it, and it landed to the right of him. That is the play that every single day of the week Starling Marte has to make. Starling Marte has to make. When he saw Pete near the ball, he kind of pulled up. So, that play should have been made by Starling. Nonetheless, it wasn't. It led to a bases-loaded situation, and the Phillies would then go on to score 1 run. We were actually lucky that the only 1 run would be surrendered in that inning. And by the fact that only 1 run was surrendered, I'm like, okay, great job. You get out of a big jam. We're still up 2-1, but, we went to the third inning, and it was really death kind of like by a million cuts early on. We knew that Peterson, he was throwing a lot of pitches. It seemed like he really did not have it. He really didn't have it. In the third inning, Castellanos, he hit a single, and, that scored another run. It was an RBI single. That tied up the game 2-2. And then, the Mets, we really didn't respond. We were not responding. In the last couple of days, and in the last week, really, anytime a team scored, whether it was a National, especially yesterday, every single time the Phillies scored, the Mets responded right away. Phillies scored in the second inning, Mets, no response. Phillies scored in the third inning, Mets, no response. And then we come to the fourth inning. So in the fourth inning, we're not really feeling so good. We're starting to lose momentum. And, this is when the Phillies really kind of took control of the game. Weston Wilson got a double. So it's second and third. Rojas, the batter, he got another double. Then 2 RBIs would score. It was 4-2. The Phillies took the lead, and then really the back-breaking. This is when we had the back-breaking, hit. We had Ottavino come in, and when Ottavino came in that game, I kind of really thought to myself, this is a game where we are taking our foot off the gas. Our foot has been on the gas pedal for a month straight. You put Ottavino in that fourth inning, and it was still a close game. I believe it was 5-2 when he came in the game. So you're still within 3 runs. You put Ottavino in that game. Bohm hits a 3-run homer. In fact, I'm sorry. Ottavino came in when it was only 4-2. It was 4-2. You put your worst pitcher in, and I feel that's when we just gave up the game. You surrendered the game. Bohm came in, hit a 3-run homer. Trey Turner, before that, had an RBI single, and essentially Ottavino led to giving up 4 runs. At that point, it was 8-2. Right? After us fighting and clawing and scratching every single game, it was going to be tough for us to mount some type of comeback. We always have to keep in mind right now, we're still without our best player. We're without Francisco Lindor, and this whole year we're without Senga. So it is tough. And this is where Senga coming back to the bullpen, coming back to the fold will help significantly. This is where Blackburn will help significantly. Instead of going to an Ottavino in a game like this, Now you have a Blackburn. Now you have a Senga. Now you're seeing where our bullpen situation, our pitching situation is better. This whole game, our bullpen did not do the job. One of the most impressive things our bullpen did is when Eddie Alvarez came in the game in the ninth inning and had a strikeout. Our bullpen today was pathetic. We were putrid. We were unacceptable. But it just felt like there was a white flag that we threw up in the fourth inning. So, I mean, this is what happened, leadership. Mendoza has done a great job bringing this team together, cultivating a positive energy, positive vibe, but when you wave that white flag, the players, I think this is a game that they really kind of rested. I don't really like to say that because this team has never, ever, ever gave up. But, it just felt like it was one of those games where we didn't play our best by far. Pete Alonso had a chance in the fifth inning, came up, bases loaded, went down looking on a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. Pete Alonso argued that the pitch was inside, and it might have been maybe an inch or two inside, but it was way too close to take. When they showed the replay, it looked like the pitch was on the black. If you're Pete Alonso, you have to protect. You have to protect. It looks like his approach more is going oppo, so he might have been looking towards the outside part of the plate. So they got him looking on the inside. But him arguing, he's frustrated. Big situation. We're trying to mount a comeback. Just didn't happen. This really wasn't our game. We went on to the sixth inning, and the Braves would just continue to tack on. Boom, another hit in the sixth inning, made it 9-2. That was off Brazoban. In the eighth inning, Real Muto hit a 2-run bomb, and that was really the scoring summary there. But, none of the relievers really impressed me, from Ottavino, obviously, to Brazoban, to Young. All these guys had a chance to limit the damage, close the door, and nobody stepped up today. Nobody stepped up. Everybody had a bad line. For Peterson, 3 2/3 inning, 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. Horrible. Ottavino, a third of an inning, 3 runs, 3 of them, all of them earned. Brazoban, 2 runs. Danny Young, 2 runs. I mean, Alex Young and Eddie Alvarez are the only 2 pitchers who didn't allow an earned run. So, I mean, it is just really unacceptable. In fact, I guess the only bright spot that I can look at on the pitching side is Alex Young. He went an inning and 2/3, allowed 2 hits, 1 strikeout, but he didn't allow a run. So our expectation, my, acceptance level is really lowered because none of our pitchers did their job and our bullpen did horrible. The good thing is, I think this game, we went to a lot of our secondary relievers. Nobody was really put in a position to succeed. I expect a very different performance tomorrow. I expect us to get back on the board. And, believe it or not, folks, I expect us to take 2 out of 3. This was the game that I circled a long time ago when Christopher Sanchez was pitching. We just don't match up well against Christopher Sanchez. We match up well. Believe it or not, we match up well against Zach Wheeler. Aaron Nola is not pitching in this series, but Aaron Nola, we took for 6 runs last week. We do good against the top-tier pitchers of the Phillies. The only guy, Christopher Sanchez, he seems to have our number. So good for him. Good for the Phils. They clinched their playoff spot tonight. We're going to probably see him sometime in the playoffs. So we're going to get our chance to have our revenge. Mark my word. We'll be able to figure out Sanchez probably maybe in the NLCS. Okay, so again, like I said, we have a lot of stuff to do and a lot of important stuff. This game obviously meant something, but in the grand scheme of things, for a playoff chances, we're just where we were in the beginning of the day. We're 2 games back. And, we still got 2 games left, and I still think we're going to win this series. So we got a lot of good stuff. All right. So David Stearns had a press conference today. And I got to say, I do like the fact that we actually have a general manager slash president of baseball operations that really is so in front, is so out there. I'm a Knicks fan, and Leon Rose. You never see the president of the Knicks. But I like the fact that the media has direct access to David Stearns at multiple points of the season. I really do love that. And it really shows you what type of leader he is. You lead from the front. David Stearns is leading from the front. The media was able to ask him a bevy of very important questions, from LINDOR, when is he coming back, to Stearns, and to the pitching rotation. All these important questions at this very crucial, pivotal time of the season. We're going to go through right now because, there were a couple of interesting things that I believe Stearns said. First, actually, let me check one thing. Let me bring up this. Chris, great comment. Great comment. How's it going tonight? Can't win them all. The Braves lose, which is huge, but we have to go to Atlanta with the lead. So let's get the next two games. Yep, we have a big opportunity right now. At the end of the day, we're playing keep away. We got 8 games remaining. We're still two games ahead. We have our safety net because we play the Atlanta Braves 3 games. So, we're in very good shape right now. Very good shape. And your next comment, 2 up with 8 left is better than 2 up with 9 left. Exactly. So that's how I looked at it. The funny thing is, I was at work tonight, so I couldn't watch the game live. I had to kind of watch the condensed version after. So, I don't like to see what happens, but I kind of got news that the Mets lost. So then I'm like, automatically, I look at the Braves. What the heck happened with the Braves? And I almost let out a laugh in the middle of work. I'm like, the Braves kept winning and the Mets kept winning. All of a sudden, the Mets lose, the Braves lose. So, that is just such a perfect situation for us. Okay. So let's go to Stearns. So they asked Stearns about what does he feel, what's going on at this part of the season. And he basically said that it's been a fun year. It's been a roller coaster, a lot of high highs. He says that, there's going to be heartbreak situations just like tonight. It's par for the course. Emotions are heightened. The emotions are heightened at this time of the season. And they also asked him, and this is what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, and this is why I think this team is special. They go to him, what is the value of struggle? And his direct answer to that is moving past it, overcoming struggle. And that's what I've said makes this team special. Number one, we've dealt with adversity the entire year. And that is part of what David Stearns brings. You have to overcome struggle. Every single organization, every single team has difficulties, has injuries, has issues. Okay. And then they also asked him, LINDOR being sidelined, are you surprised how the team has played? And, in the same type of thinking, he goes, no, we've had so many injuries from Alvarez, Kodai Senga, obviously. We've had all these different situations where, we were down 22-33 in the beginning of the year. We didn't have Martinez, for the first month. All these situations we had to overcome. So many times in the last couple of weeks, I thought that the team was out of it. Just 4 days ago, we lost LINDOR. So many situations, guys had to step up. In the last week, we had a whole bevy of guys, whether it was Nimmo stepping up those last couple of games, Alonso stepping up, Alvarez stepping up, Acuna, can I say Acuna stepping up? So there's just so many different guys. And this is the mentality of this team. This is the culture of this team. Tonight means nothing. It just means nothing. Basically, we're at a game 7 mentality all the time. After the 4th inning, the mentality kind of just switched off. And, you need a rest. You kind of need a break. You need a break. And that's what I think Mendoza did for the guys. This was a game that, we would, by putting Ottavino in at that point in the game, you were essentially surrendering that game, in my opinion. So they also asked Stearns. They said, when you pick up these players and you put, you add a Manaya, you add a Severino, you add all these players in the offseason, are you looking for a high character guy? And how do you know it's going to mesh? So basically, he says that the important thing is you can get these high character guys. You can put all these players together, but no matter how character of the guys they are, you don't know. You don't know how the team is going to mesh. But if you set the right culture, if you set the right practices, more often than not, good teams will have this type of outcome. And then Howie Rose actually asked a really good question. So Howie Rose, Howie Rose, he always tries to ask a very complex question. I love Howie Rose. You gotta love Howie Rose. So Howie Rose was basically saying, are you surprised how good this team has been, how successful this team has been, and how we have like really come together? And then Stern said, no, I'm not surprised that this team has really grown and come together, because any good group, any good high character group evolves during the year. The way you evolve, the way you adapt is how you survive. And that's what he alluded to in that answer. And I like that, because throughout the course of the season, you have to evolve. Pete Alonso, I think that was his biggest problem. Lindor survived because he evolved. Folks, he went to the leadoff hit position, and he changed his approach. He changed his mentality. That is how he adapted, and that is how he grew. Pete Alonso, on the other hand, did not evolve. He did not adapt. His approach the whole year was all or nothing. I gotta hit a home run. I gotta stack up my numbers. Whereas if he would try to make a little more contact, go oppo, the home runs were bound to come. But Pete's problem was he wasn't making contact. He wasn't making contact. And if you don't make contact, good things can't happen. And they asked him what is very important. And this actually reminded me of a Rocky quote, especially if you thought of Rocky 6. And he goes, what mentality has your team really adopted? And he goes, well, the important thing each and every day is to move forward, and you give your team the best chance to win every day. Now, today was a good example of what we didn't do. We didn't give our team the best chance to win. We didn't. And, today, I can kind of blame that on Carlos Mendoza. The use of, I know Peterson didn't have it, but, 4-2 game, you don't go to Ottavino. You don't go to your you don't go to your worst pitcher. And then they started talking about Acuna, and they said, did you know Acuna would be this good? And basically Stearns said no. Oftentimes, guys don't go get better in the majors than when they played in the minors. But the thing that really stood out about Acuna was his poise. And honestly, that's what has really impressed me. A guy coming up in the middle of a pennant race, for him to be as calm as he has been this last week, it is just insane. And that's why I've been saying, really, I've been making all these videos about Acuna. The sky's the limit. You see the tools, you see the athleticism, you see the dynamic swing, the level swing. And then he has the pedigree with his brother Ronald. And I love that competition. I love that competitive nature that those two are going to have for the next decade. I am so super, super excited about Acuna. And honestly, I wanted to see him early in the season, but I didn't know he was going to be this good. I did not know he was going to be this good. And then this is actually they asked him about the rotation. They said, what makes this rotation special? Why is this rotation able to do what they're doing? I mean, we don't have a DeGrom, we don't have a Scherzer, we don't have any top, like really top guys that you would have thought coming into the season. I know Sean Manaea is pitching out of this world, but like Witt really elevated these guys. So he basically said it's an off the field thing, that these guys have a level of preparation unlike any other pitching staff that he's ever been around. That means nutrition. That means pregame workout. That means after the games, how they recover, the off-season workouts. He's saying that this particular group has put in more work and has been more dedicated to those off-the-field things that you have to do. Sleep habits, eating habits, nutrition, working out. This pitching staff has done that, better than anybody else, according to David Stearns. Although, I'm pretty sure a lot of GMs and, general managers would say that during the middle of the season. Okay, so now we're going to be getting to really the big issue. Okay, because we got a really kind of big issue here, and I gotta say, I'm a little worried about. And I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, this is good news. Man overboard, magic number 7. All right, good stuff. Love that. Scott, my guy, Scott, good night, everyone. Just jumping in. Hope we take 3 out of 4 in the series, but my gut tells me that we split. I actually had that we were going to split a couple days ago, but for some reason, I'm thinking 3 out of 4. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking optimistic, but I'm thinking 3 out of 4 right now. But okay, back to what I was going to say. I'm actually a little concerned about Lindor. So I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with the type of treatment that Lindor has undergone right now. And let me just actually tell you exactly what's going on with Lindor and why I'm a bit concerned. And I'll let you know what David Stern said as well. Okay, so Lindor yesterday received a facet joint injection in his back. So you received that yesterday on Thursday, and it's a course of treatment that the trainers hope will increase his rate of recovery. So obviously it's something that he needs because right now it seems like he's not doing that good. Okay, so Lindor says, I'm trying to do whatever it takes to come back as soon as I can. Without the injection, I didn't feel like I could get back sooner rather than later. With the injection, they said there was a possibility that it can happen. I believe in the trainers. I trust them. This is what their input was, and we want to get it done. So Lindor said the facet joint, it was delivered into the spinal area, which doesn't sound so pleasant, was designed to numb his back, reduce pain and swelling, and if all goes well intended, help him improve his range of motion in an accelerated time period. Lindor indicated that if his body doesn't respond well to the injection, it could signify a problem that his initial MRI on Monday did not uncover. Folks, this is what I'm kind of worried about. But the fact that Lindor was already feeling better by Friday night, combined with an MRI, revealed no obvious structural damage, gives his continued optimism that this isn't a long-term issue. Okay, so bottom line, Thursday, Lindor wakes up. He's stiff, he's got pain, he's got limited range of motion. So we're just talking yesterday morning, right? And basically, he said that tying his shoe was difficult. Bending down, tying his shoe. So I was a little surprised to hear that. Honestly, I was a little surprised to hear that. I mean, we heard on Monday, good news, MRI clear. But here's the thing. there's a lot of times that the MRI, or not a lot of times, but there are certain times that the MRI misses something tiny that may be causing swelling, something tiny that just isn't right. The fact that it's a back, if it was a hand, if it was something else, a finger, a toe, this is his back. This is his back. If his back is not right, he can pull a hammy. He could do something that can cause a really big damage in the future. So I am super kind of concerned. I'm hoping that this shot does the trick. The good thing about what this article mentioned is it says that he already feels slightly better than he did yesterday. So that could mean that it has been working. And they asked him, like, when is this going to work? How are you going to know if these injections work? And he said he's heard different things. It could work on the same day. Okay, it didn't work yesterday. It could work in 2 to 3 days. It could work in 1 to 2 weeks. We're hoping it doesn't take that long, but the bottom line is he's supposed to wake up one of these next couple of days and apparently feel no more pain. Feel no more pain. That's how that injection is supposed to work. If that injection works and he's good tomorrow or he's good Sunday, he's back on the field. Stearns was asked, and it was asked of him, do you expect Francisco Lindor back within the next couple of days? And Stearns did not hesitate. And remember, the Stearns press conference was today. Stearns said, I expect Lindor back within the next couple of days. I took that meaning 3 days. So by Stearns saying that and smiling so confidently, I think that we're going to have good news. But anytime I hear a back situation, I'm always a bit alarmed, especially a guy we're paying $34 million, especially a guy we need, an MVP, a guy who's going to be here for the next 7 years. But if it's just this little issue, I'm praying, I'm hoping that it does get resolved, because we could survive for 1 or 2 more games, but we're going to need him. We're going to need him. I want him for the Braves series. And that's what I think we might be targeting. We might be targeting getting him back for the Braves series, because that's all the dominoes. That's every single thing. Even if we lose the next 2 games and the Braves, not the Braves, and the Braves win the next 2 games, we go into Atlanta tied, right? I'm talking about worst case scenario. We lose, they win. We go in tied. We win that series, or we sweep them, we can take a 3-game lead. There's so many things that can happen. The important thing is we need to beat Atlanta. It's all about Atlanta. And that's what I think the Mets are focusing on, getting Lindor back. Getting Lindor back. The fact that the Mets have played at a high level in this last week has frankly bought us some extra time. But Atlanta is going to be the series. Hey, Richard. He irritated the nerve. I'm not really sure if they really identify it. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not any medical. I don't have any medical expertise, but I'm not really sure if they really know what the injury is. That's the reason why I'm concerned. I know they gave him the epidural, but like, they're kind of just crossing their fingers right now. If the nerve has been irritated and this will calm down the nerve, I hope that happens. What's up, Ray? Quintana has been off the chart. Great observations. Last 5 starts, the guy has been in another world. And that really helps us out, because we know Peterson last 2 out of 3 starts hasn't been the Peterson of the last 2 months. So, getting a guy like Quintana to really step up is good. You got a guy like Kodai Senga coming back. You got a guy like Paul Blackburn coming back. So at least if some of these guys falter, we do have some depth pieces coming back. I'll tell you this, next year, our bullpen is going to be different. I don't believe we're going to have the Youngs. I don't believe we're going to have Brazoban. I don't believe we're going to have Stanek. Next year's bullpen is going to look completely different. That's what I'm excited about. The good thing is we found some good pieces. Jose Budo, Daniel Nunez. We're going to have Edwin Diaz. So we have some really good pieces to a good bullpen. He could also have a nerve burn. Oh man, that's way above what I know. Um, I'm just hoping whatever the situation is with Lindor, it can be resolved. It's just scary when you hear Lindor saying that he can't tie his shoes, that he's having trouble tying his shoes. I mean, he's a shortstop. He's got to be able to hit 100-mile-per-hour fastball. He's got to be able to have the best range of motion out of any of the players playing, a shortstop position. So, that's why like I was a little alarmed. And that's probably why that they made the decision to get the injection. Think about this. They could have got the injection a couple of days ago, but I guess they were hoping that it would resolve itself. And it didn't. It didn't resolve itself. So this could have been a situation where Lindor might have not been available for a couple weeks if he didn't go ahead and get these injections. Hey, Ray. Oh, Ray, this is actually a good comment. Need the fish to spoil the Braves. And honestly, we got a lot of Marlins fans on this channel. And that's what the conversation has been in the last couple of days. The Braves actually have been having a lot of trouble beating the teams that they should be beating. And the Marlins have been notorious for spoiling seasons. I mean, they spoiled it for us. If you think about 14, 15 years ago, was it '09? I forget. One of those years, the Marlins were really a thorn in our side. But the Braves, they're not the Braves of old. That's why I'm not. I feel very confident. I don't feel that concerned. Because of the fact that the Braves are not the Braves of 2022. It's not that juggernaut team. They have a lot of guys struggling. The bats are struggling. You give the pitching credit. Their pitching has really kept the team afloat, but the offense is really what, they're known for. They're known for a juggernaut type offense. Olsen, Acuna, Riley, Albies, but they're missing Riley. They're missing Acuna. That's a lot of firepower. They're missing Strider. They've had a lot of injuries their entire year. It's not the same. It's really not the same. So I think we're definitely going to take 2 out of 3. I feel very confident about that. This is like one of the most confident I've ever been in my team, especially facing Atlanta. Pete is just stinking up the joy. I gotta say, I gave Pete this whole year. I've been very rough on Pete, and it's really stemmed from the fact that Pete demanded to be paid like a superstar. He demanded to be paid like a superstar, almost close to $300 million. He's changed his agent to mega agent Scott Boras. And he turned down a very fair contract, 7 years, $156 million. He would have been fairly paid, and he would have been a lifetime Met. So this year, I'm like, okay, you want to prove it? Fine, prove it. This year, he has not proved it. In the last week, he has really changed his approach. He's been a bit more patient. If you notice, he's going more opposite field. He doesn't seem like he's striking out as much, although he did have a big strikeout today in the 5th inning. But the things you can't do is that play in the 2nd inning when you're going after a pop-up. You got to make that play. If you're going to be the aggressor and you're gonna go after that pop-up, you got to make that play, because that's a momentum play. If the Phillies loaded the bases, no outs, they ended up scoring a run. You got to make that play. And number 2, Marte, in my opinion, should have called Pete off. He's fast enough. He had enough time to get there. He ended up pulling up, and it was a disaster on both parts. Pete should have caught it, and Marte should have called him off. It was bad communication and a disaster play. As much as we all want to have it locked up before they play Atlanta, that's in 2 games. So even if, let's just say, the Mets win 2 games and Atlanta loses 2 games, that puts them up 4 games with 6 games left. So, I mean, that's a pretty, sizable lead, but it wouldn't be considered locked up. it wouldn't be considered locked up. But I mean, they could lock it up with what, 1 or 2 victories at that point, but it would be very close. It would be very close. I mean, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome if the Marlins could beat the Braves 2 games and the Mets could somehow find a way to beat the Phillies. That'd be phenomenal. What the a laminectomy? Oh, God, Richard, I never heard of that. I'm actually looking that up right now. It doesn't. It sounds pretty complex. It says it's a surgical procedure that moves bone spurs and tissues associated with arthritis of the spine to relieve pressure on the spinal cord. Richard, I forgot. Are you the one? I forgot if it was you. Did you had all the herniated discs? That was you, right? Damn, Richard, we can have this whole live stream on all your injuries. You got a lot going on. I hope everything is good. I hope it sounds painful. I hope that you're not living with a lot of pain, because that doesn't sound that good. Oh, well, at the end of the day, at least you got the Mets this year. At least you got them kind of bringing you a little joy. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel so good. I feel so confident, and I never feel like this. I'm one of the doom and gloom type of guys, but it's because like our culture in the past has been so bad, so bad. But David Stearns, Carlos Mendoza, you give those 2 leaders a lot of credit, because they have really changed this around. No matter who you brought in here, all these guys have added to the culture. Acuna added to the culture. Eddie Alvarez, guy we acquired from the Red Sox, made some nice defensive plays in the last couple of weeks. Big strikeout tonight in the 9th inning. But even a guy like that, he's doing a good job on the bench. You see, he gets along with everybody. It's really amazing how well this team just gets along. When last year you had a dumpster fire in the clubhouse, this year you have the opposite. You have everybody lifting each other up, and that's what we have to do: lift each other up. It's amazing to see. I really want Pete Alonso, even though he had a bad game. Even though Pete Alonso had a really bad game today, it was a really rough game. And you kind of see when Pete is not that force in the middle of the lineup and Lindor's not there, it has an effect. It really does have an effect. You need Lindor, not Lindor. You need Nimmo. You need Pete Alonso. If Lindor's not there, you need those 2 key cogs to step up. And, when they're not, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Okay. So the next bit of news. All right. So let's assume tomorrow, Kodai Senga, or today. So I keep forgetting. Today's Saturday. So today's Saturday, Kodai Senga is making a start. He's starting AAA. If everything goes well and he feels fine, he should be pitching next week, sometime next week. But Carlos Mendoza already said that if Kodai Senga is available to pitch next week, if he feels fine, he can only go 35 to 40 pitches. He's only going 35 to 40 pitches. So, the question was, would you use him in a relief role? Would you bring him out of the bullpen? Stearns kind of answered that the other day, because David Stearns said if Senga comes back, he's unaccustomed to coming out of the bullpen. So even if he only has 2 or 3 innings to give, he would be a starter. He would be a starter. So, those are the games we're going to have to run. So we're going to have to set it up. But, nonetheless, even though he wouldn't be able to go a lot of innings, you think of it like this. He's going to have one more start, probably in Milwaukee, right? So he'll have 45, about 45 pitches. Next time he starts, that would probably be in, let's say he gets a start in the wild card round. Let's say he gets a start then. He'd be up to 60 pitches. Then by the time we get to the division series, he's up to 75 to 80, and that's respectable. So, I mean, we're pretty lucky. We're pretty lucky that, we can get this guy in time for some very, very consequential, very important games. And, you could be like, hey, you know what? We got all our other guys rolling. But you know what? You see right now, Peterson going up against a good juggernaut lineup. No, I'd rather go with Manaya. I'd rather go with a Sanga. And then if you want to go 3 or 4 guys, you go with Sanga, you go with Manaya, you got Severino, and then maybe Quintana or Peterson. Peterson, you saw the good and the bad. Now you go with the hot hand. And Kodai Senga is a guy who's proven. Obviously, he had a great year last year, but he's on another level. This guy's on another level, and we absolutely need Senga if we want to win that World Series. Absolutely. See, I don't know. Let me see. Peterson in the last 2 to 3 starts, he's not looking the same. Let me see something. Because he's a guy that really has gone to his sinker this year. He really has gone to his sinker pitch. But let's see his pitches that he threw. See, I was trying to see how many ground balls David Peterson surrendered. Because, David Peterson, he's a sinker ball guy. When his sinker ball is really moving in the right direction, he generates a lot of ground balls. That's been his strength, generating ground balls. And obviously locating. When he gets in trouble, he's not locating, but his ground ball percentage is in the 88th percentile. So that is elite. That is elite. Today, I don't know how many ground balls, but he only pitched like 4 innings. But I don't think the sinker ball was really working today, and he didn't have good control, and that's what's going to happen. What's up, Jesse? The umps were amazing. I had to watch the condensed version of the game, so I only got to see a couple calls by the umps. Obviously, one of the calls that was highlighted was the Pete Alonso call in the 5th inning when he struck out looking. That was a pitch that might have been slightly inside, but that pitch definitely, if you're Pete Alonso, bases loaded, 2 outs, no doubt about it. You got to swing. You got to swing. I suspect that Pete was looking for something more along the lines on the outside corner, and he just got fooled. Explosive. I think Lindor back injury is more serious than they are saying. Why did Lindor get an injection for his back today? I'm worried about Lindor. So he got the back injection. I believe he got it yesterday. He got it yesterday because they were saying, and you're right to be a little worried, because I was worried as well. He was saying that yesterday he was stiff, he had pain, he felt like it was swelling, he couldn't tie his shoes. It doesn't sound good. I mean, if you're a shortstop and you can't tie your shoes, that's not good. That's not good. So they said that the timetable for his recovery was going to be expanded, meaning a couple weeks. Doesn't want to wait a couple weeks. Obviously, we have the playoffs. So this was put on the table as an option to speed up the recovery. They said that he could wake up in 2 to 3 days and the pain and the swelling potentially could be gone. They have a lot of confidence that there's no big structural damage, that the MRI didn't miss anything. But here's the deal. If by Monday he's not 100% by this Monday, if he's not 100% pain-free, he's going to have a repeat MRI. He's going to have a repeat MRI, and they're going to check to see if they missed anything. So I'm hoping to God that he recovers before then. But you're right to be worried, because they did say that in the news conference, and they said that in the article. They're hoping he feels better. They're thinking he will feel better, but you never know with the back. You just never know. I mean, for all of us I've had back injuries. Richard, you have had back injuries. I'm pretty sure a couple other members in here right now have had back injuries. It's not something to be messed with. And now we have back injuries, and this guy who potentially has a back issue has to play in a Major League Baseball game, and he's playing shortstop. He's not playing a first base like Pete, who doesn't have to be that mobile. He's playing a premium position where we need him to have range, where we need him to have mobility. He's the leadoff batter. So it's something that is right to be concerned. You're right to be concerned about. Hopefully it's something that can be resolved with the treatment that they are giving him. Oh, Will, please don't say that. Oh, no, don't say that. No. Honestly, is it really how it started with David Wright? I mean, David Wright had spinal stenosis, a degenerative disease. I hope to God Lindor doesn't have anything degenerative. I'm hoping that it's a pinched nerve. It's something that can be fixed. But David Wright has a degenerative disease. But you're right. It is awful reminiscent of David Wright. Yeah, and Ray, that's a really good note. Acuna, despite being a good defensive player, he's no Lindor. I mean, Lindor, he was fighting every single year for the Gold Glove. You can argue he's always going to be a top 2, top 3 shortstop. Acuna, he'd be a nice shortstop, but Lindor, his wins above replacement was always 6, 7. I mean, he had such a great wins above replacement, not only because he was a great offensive guy, but because he was a great defensive guy. His range was off the chart. Lindor's range, I believe, is always in the 90th percentile. Let me double check that. But if you watch him play every single day, it just, oh my God. I just brought up Lindor's Baseball Savant. Everything's dark red. Oh man, we need this guy back. His fielding run value is in the 96th percentile. His range, who said that? Ray. His range is in the 99th percentile. Lindor's range is in the 99th percentile. So we absolutely need this man back at shortstop, and we need this man back healthy. I mean, if anybody wants to bring up Lindor's, let me see if I can bring it up. It's probably going to get messed up. Let's see. No. Okay, so I'm sorry this is not that big, but Lindor's batting run value, 91st percentile, base running value, 71st percentile, fielding run value, 96th percentile. All this dark red means he's elite. Expected WOBA, 95th percentile. Expected batting average. Look at this. He's batting like 270 something, but his expected batting average is 93rd percentile. They say his expected batting average more should be 286. His expected slug, this is impressive, folks. Expected slug, 95th percentile. And this is way higher than his real slug. His expected slug is 539. His expected average exit velocity, 76th percentile. Expected barrel percentage, 90th percentile. Expected hard hit, 84th. Sweet spot, 74. I mean, like, this is all great stuff. Expected range, 99th percentile. So, I mean, it is just so insane how great this guy is. Now, if I bring up Pete Alonso, it's gonna be different. All right, so this is Pete Alonso's Baseball Savant. So as you can see, and I apologize, it looks like it's a little hard to see, but there's a lot less red. But even though there's a lot less red, if you looked at his Baseball Savant a month ago, it was just even worse. So his batting run value is in the 76th percentile. His base running value is 2. We know he's not a good base runner. His fielding run value is 17. So whereas Lindor has 96, Pete Alonso is 17. Now we saw the way Pete played that, he played the outfield today or played the, going after that pop-up. It's not his strong suit. His expected WOBA is 81st percentile. His expected batting average, 44th percentile. His expected slug, and folks, this is actually very important. It's in the 86th percentile. His expected slug is 481. Lindor's is almost 560. So Lindor's is so much higher. And you would expect Pete should have a higher expected slug. He should have a higher slugging percentage, but he doesn't. Average expected exit velocity, 60th percentile. The average exit, it's 89.7. I mean, this should be a lot higher for a guy who hits the ball hard or should hit the ball hard, but he's not hitting the ball that hard. Barrel percentage, 88th percentile, so he's getting better with that. Hard hit percentage, 79th percentile. That's gotten better. Sweet spot, 18th percentile, not good. Bat speed. So Pete Alonso has had issues, but he's always had a quick bat. He's in the 90th percentile. Chase percentage, 66. Whip, 51. As low as that looks, that's gotten better. His range is in the 8th percentile, his arm strength in the 2%, and his sprint speed in the 19%. So, you got a well-rounded player in Lindor, and then you got a guy like Pete who, is just really kind of one-dimensional right now. Okay. Now, okay, so we're gonna be playing. I think Ranger Suarez is tomorrow. Probable pitchers, because I'm gonna show you something. Okay, so today we're going to face Ranger Suarez. So it's gonna be a good matchup. Ranger Suarez, who's 12-7 with a 3.13 ERA, versus Sean Manaea, who's 11-5 with a 3.26 ERA. So I mean that's a good matchup. That's gonna be a very good matchup. Um, oh wow, this is really small. All right. So you know what? I apologize. This is really, really small. But what it does have is it has everybody on the New York Mets career batting average against Mr. Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez versus the New York Mets. He's pitched in 15 games, 48 innings, 4-3 record, 3.51 ERA. So we have Brandon Nimmo on top. He's had 26 plate appearances. 1 RBI, batting 136. Pete Alonso, batting 118. Francisco Lindor. Unfortunately, Francisco Lindor has done well, batting 313. Starling Marte is batted 375. Vientos 250. JD Martinez 222. So, I mean, honestly, it doesn't look like we've done that well against Ranger Suarez. So, undoubtedly, it will be a test. It will be a test. In fact, we have much better career numbers against Zach Wheeler. So it's definitely going to be a test. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, folks, I'm gonna have to get going. My wife's sleeping right now. Like we're going to Epcot tomorrow. So I gotta get up pretty early. What is 2:30 in the morning? Damn. All right. Well, time flies. Time flies. Tomorrow we have another show. So tune in tomorrow night. It's going to be a good show. I can tell we're gonna do well. On the way out, if you can if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially so late after 2 o'clock in the morning. That's awesome. Mets fans are the best. Hands down, the best fans. All right, so everybody have a great night. Richard, hopefully you feel better. Hopefully you're feeling great. Ray, everybody, Will. I think everybody tonight, we had a great night. Explosive, Robbie, Chris, Man Overboard, Daniel. If I missed anybody, I apologize. All right. Well, everyone have a great night. Again, I thank each and every one of you. I will talk to you tomorrow night.